I'm fully aware of how unbelievable the events I'm about to describe to you are. From your point of view, I would not believe them either. I would think of them as a work of fiction from that of creative mind. But knowing what I have seen, I can arrive at no other conclusion. Think of me how you wish, though. Insane or otherwise, all I ask of you is that you listen to what I have to say. The words I am now writing will probably be my last, for I believe I may have stumbled upon knowledge, either unknown to the world or kept a secret by those who have known the horror I have experienced. I've always known I would be a writer. The encouragement of my wonderful mother encouraged me to pursue it. I was born a single child to a single mother. My imagination, though, was the only solace during those times of childhood loneliness. Those experiences, however, were the seed that sprouted my love for writing. But 2 years ago, after I graduated, I moved out west like I've always planned to. I landed in suburban Colorado. My few releases I were selling quite well enough to support me for the foreseeable future, that is. But I knew I had to get some work done, if I wanted to survive, that is. As I began to settle into my new surroundings, that loneliness I mentioned before began to take a hold of me once again. I've never been one of those ladies' men. So my chances of finding a girlfriend in this small town populated with mostly tourists and retired couples looked unmistakably bleak. So, seeing no alternative, I moved down the pedestal to the next best thing. I found Sadie at the local dog shelter. She was a mangy mess of long golden fur, and mud caked her paws and ears. Her piercing gaze never left me as I pursued the scruffy animals in each cage. I continued to think about her even after my back was turned. I could feel her eyes on me all the time. As I made way to her, I stared in amazement at the extreme intelligence I could see behind her brown, unblinking eyes. After a couple of minutes into our staring competition, her pink tongue slid out of her mouth over her teeth, and her tail began wagging. I knew I had to keep her. Our connection was instantaneous and deeper than I could ever describe. Over the next couple of months, Sadie's intelligence turned more impressive to astonishing, and from astonishing it turned to actually disturbing. She would pace around in the house at night. Tables and household objects would move, or she would tamper with them. Some nights, she would stare at me from the wooden frame of my doorway, her small silhouette, the only thing visible against the bathroom light. But somehow I knew her eyes were fixed on me. After my mind had enough, I began looking for ways to keep her out. I locked my room at night to block the view of her piercing eyes. It was when my troubles began. Small tapping noises like the tapping of nails and the linoleum floor. After a few nights of delicately studying the rhythm of the noises, but to my horror, I realized that it could not be footsteps of a canine. There was a person walking around in my house, and there had been for days. With shaking hands, I pulled myself from under my blankets. I tiptoed as quietly as possible to a closet, retrieving a metal baseball bat, and crept as quietly as possible on the creaking carpet. As my shivering hands grasping the cold doorknob, I turned it slowly. I swung open the door, but Sadie wasn't there. I breathed a sigh of relief and slowly turned my way down the stairs. Cool beads of sweat ran down my temple, tickling my cheeks. My hands tightened around the cold metal as the tapping continued. When I finally reached the bottom of the staircase, I turned my head around to face the kitchen as the footsteps continued. I tiptoed down the corridor to the kitchen. I laid the bat down on the right shoulder. With a careful, delicate movement, I peeked my head around the corner. My eyes widened and covered my mouth with a threshold without me screaming. Before my bewildered eyes, I saw her. Her golden, long, hairy body was slouched over. Her front legs curled like a giant praying mantis. Sadie was walking on 2 feet. I was frozen in fear, unable to move, with tears in my eyes away from this horrific scene. Her mouth and snout burled and curled as she let out terrible grunts. It sounded like a man who was trying to speak while being strangled. Her sharp teeth flashed in the candlelight. Dread and confused, I darted back behind the wall. Was she trying to speak? Oh God. Was she trying to speak? I shut my eyes and shivered, too scared to move a muscle. Suddenly, a loud boom of metal against wood resounded throughout the quiet house. Without thinking, the bat had loosed itself from my sweaty hands and fell to the ground. My eyes darted back to Sadie to see what she would do. Her head turned. Her eyes began to tangle. A mop of hair peered through the hallway's opening. She immediately dropped back on all fours, tail wagging. I ran back to my room. Not caring what noise I made, I quietly shut the door and locked it. Then locked myself in my bathroom for good measure. I stopped letting her scratching at my bedroom door. I slept in a bathtub all night, and next day, too scared to leave. After many hours and knowing I wouldn't stay there indefinitely, I slowly unlocked the bathroom door and I crept quietly down the stairs once again, trying my best not to make a noise. I never wanted to see her again. I knew I would never forget her stare as long as I lived. I crept to the kitchen again to make a break for the front door. I sighed as I realized she wasn't in the kitchen. I ran to the front door and scrambled to unlock. Suddenly behind me I heard a slow, low snarl. My head turned slowly. To my absolute horror, she was standing in the doorway, licking her long, jagged teeth. Her face jittered and confuzzled. She began to speak once again. Hungry. My shaky hands tried to turn the lock, but she was too fast. In an instant, she was on top of me. Her long, jagged teeth sunk deep into my forearm. The pain, indescribable, sending shock waves up my arm and into my body. I began to sob as she tore the flesh from my arm. Growling and snarling, blood flew from her foaming mouth as she dug deeper and deeper. Out of fear and desperation, I began to dig at her left eye. I dug and scratched, blood pouring from the wound into my fingers like a fountain. I felt squishy and wet, like digging into a cup of water, jello. I pulled out and threw away onto the wooden floor. She let go, staggering back, moaning and howling in pain. I staggered myself back to the hallway, retrieving my bat. Blood covered the floor and my hands. With tears filling my eyes, I began laying blows down onto her head. With each blow, her howls became quieter. Teeth, flesh, and blood sprayed from the tattered corpse until all that remained was her head, was a shattered, mushy pile of teeth and flesh. I dropped to my knees and sobbed bitterly onto the floor for what had seemed like hours. It was hours before I called an ambulance. I spent a week in the hospital. I never told the doctors the truth about how I got the injuries because they would only laugh. I merely told them my dog bit me. They encouraged me to receive a shot of rabies. I complied. I can say until I'm blue in the face how true the story is, but that won't convince you. I'm telling the story not to relieve my soul of the burden of my tale, but to simply share the truth. I will carry this horror and its unanswered questions for the rest of my life. I still don't know the facts, and I know that thirst for answers will never be quenched. However, I do know one thing. Ever since it happened, all the dogs I've seen won't stop staring. They just won't stop staring. Gloop and glob, everybody, Go and Skew here, and I just want to say thank you so much for watching my newest Creepypasta rating. This one is called Sadie. If you would like to check it out, the link to it is down below in the description. I would really appreciate if you go share it around with your family and friends, and even your pets, because we all know what your pets do late at night when you think that they're asleep and just being calm little household animals. Also, drop a like on it if you really enjoyed it, and if you would like to see me be recommended to other people as well. And one last thing before I go, there's a small annotation to the top right of your screen. Press on it or click on it, depending on what you're using, and vote on what you would like to see for Wednesday. There should be three to four little choices that you can choose from. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, there's that little favor you have to do for me at the end of each video, and that is stick to being awesome and stick to being who you are. But until next time, see ya.